Hey everyone, and welcome to the next installment of Esri's State and Local Connect. This is an Esri webinar series dedicated to state and local government GIS professionals who want to use GIS to improve operations, make data-driven decisions, and enhance civic engagement. So my name is Ryan Selman, and I'm coming to you from Columbus, Ohio, and I'm joined by my colleague on the state and local government team, Lauren Volker. Hi, Lauren.
Hey Ryan, how's it going?
Doing well.
Good.
Well, so thanks, Lauren. Thanks for joining us today. So again, Lauren and I, we represent the state and local government team here at Esri. And we're glad to have you on this month's webinar called Diving into the Latest Capabilities for Land Records. The previous webinars in this series have been focused on specific capabilities of ArcGIS like field mobility, spatial analytics, artificial intelligence, and much more. And recently we've kind of shifted the focus of this series to be centered around solutions and resources available to you to help your operational workflows in state and local government. So last month was all around capabilities for infrastructure management and public works, and that recording is available. And subsequent webinars in this series will cover solutions around natural resource management, planning and community development, and much more. But today, we will be focusing on solutions for those organizations that deal with land records and the assessment and taxation of property. Before we dive in, I do want to make mention up front that we are recording this session so that everyone attending will receive an email with a link to the recording so you can socialize it with colleagues that might not have been able to attend, or you can watch it again if you'd like. The other thing that I wanted to make mention of, we should have enough time for questions at the end, so we do invite you to submit those questions. We should have enough time to answer them, just a few, I think. So if you do want to submit some questions, there is a question pane in the GoToWebinar application. We'll be monitoring those. And like I said, at the end, we'll do our best to get to as many as we possibly can. Okay. Okay, so I want to kick things off a little bit by discussing challenges that we see assessors' offices facing across this country. So first and foremost, maintaining trust and confidence in the work being done by the assessment office and the public is increasingly becoming top of mind for assessors. In that same vein, maintaining trust helps in keeping property appeals down to a minimum, as responding to those, of course, can be a huge time suck for assessment staff, ultimately costing money. All the while, assessment offices need to respond quickly to the changing market conditions in their respective communities. And then from switching into an operational perspective, keeping property geometry and characteristics up to date and accurate remains a challenge, with inefficiencies in sharing that data out to other departments, the public, and constituents. On top of that, the industry is strapped with aging business systems that oftentimes are extremely complex, difficult to keep current, and difficult to maintain. All that being said, retaining staff with local domain knowledge is particularly an issue, especially when attracting new talent is becoming more difficult that has that domain knowledge. So to help with these growing challenges, modern assessment offices are leaning on Esri's ArcGIS system, which really provides their organization with spatial infrastructure for land records, getting information once available to those in the back office into the hands of everyone in the office. This infrastructure extends the reach of your system of record where parcel management takes place to more information products that can be used by the assessment team. On top of ArcGIS, Esri provides pre-configured solutions designed to leverage best practices in our platform and are centered around the common workflows of the assessor's offices, some of which we'll showcase here in just a minute. So all of this capability in the platform is controlled by groups and users with distributed responsibility and authority, making sure that everyone has the access to the tools that they need to get their jobs done more efficiently. The solutions and capability delivered through the ArcGIS system empower everyone in the assessor's office with the ability to discover, use, make, and share maps from any device, anywhere, anytime. Regardless of if you're the chief deputy doing analysis back in the office, an appraiser potentially working out in the field on a tablet, looking at property characteristics while they're in front of a property, or maybe you're an engaged citizen looking at property characteristics at home. ArcGIS powers solutions that deliver accurate, authoritative information that's up to date and in the way that our users expected in 2021. So Esri's modern system of engagement for the assessor's office does support key high-level workflows ultimately to be successful. You can see the target audience on this slide for personas within the office. So in the top, this is a little busy, but just bear with me. We're focusing on the assessor and the chief deputy, and they're oftentimes, looking at sales, appeals, and foreclosures. They're providing executive dashboards to the assessor or the auditor. They're performing sales ratio studies, communicating comparable sales, performing advanced spatial analytics, and then comparing imagery for changes. From the public perspective, they're viewing property characteristics. They're trying to understand where their tax dollars are actually going. They're looking for comparable sales. They're determining exemption status, and then they're even downloading assessment data for further analysis if they so choose. Out in the field, appraisers are doing all sorts of things. They might be assessing damages on properties, inventorying property condition. They could be working in and out of the field and understanding where the next assignment might be. So scheduling field appraisal work is often a workflow that we see, and understanding the status of that work in real time is often important. And then finally, the system of record is maintained by those tax mappers with parcel management capabilities. They're back in the office maintaining tax parcels, checking data quality and attribution, and then curating authoritative addresses in some cases. Also, producing tax maps is still a key workflow. So with all that being said, and kind of just a little bit of a context level setting, what we want to do right now is maybe shift gears and actually walk through some of these solutions for you. We're going to start with parcel data management, get into some workflows for parcel value analysis, and then wrap up with public engagement capabilities. So Lauren, I'm going to kick it over to you to start with parcel data management.
Sounds great, thank you. And as we dive into parcel data management, I just want to emphasize, how far the ArcGIS Parcel Fabric and Pro has come since it was released a few years ago. It's simple, it's efficient, it's easy to adopt. You upgrade today and clean later. It really accepts any data in any condition that can be easily upgraded. And we're aiming to reduce the learning curve by using the same set of editing tools that GIS analysts and professionals have been used to for years. The Parcel Fabric uses simple feature classes, subtypes, and domains, and each parcel type can even have its own schema. It's highly performant in drawing and editing, and the new versioning technology called branch versioning is fast, it's scalable, it's low maintenance, and it comes with editor tracking and archiving. It utilizes a service-oriented architecture, so parcels are available across the platform, any device, anytime, anywhere, and this even includes editing, even in a connected or a disconnected environment. The ArcGIS Parcel Fabric comes with configurable tasks for common workflows, and this means that the right tool is there for you in the right time, as well as a rich REST API that helps you to geo-enable your business systems, empower your thin clients from your web and your mobile, and even expose functionality that eliminates that manual interaction. GIS integrates with multiple business systems with registration and CAMA systems, document management, billing ERPs. And the aim here is to really reduce that redundant data entry and to make sure that the GIS that you're using to visualize and get spatial insight into your business systems is always using the authoritative data. The ArcGIS Parcel Fabric is defendable, and this means that it supports that parcel lineage. So you can visualize your lineage. Every generation is its own recorded transaction. So you can really compare that before and after. And this helps to support that chain of title research as well. You can do 2D, 3D, and 4D mapping, and this is really a continuum of those 2D parcels where you leverage the use of surfaces like an elevation assignment, even extruding, and real 3D editing. And you can capture that 3D from stereoscopic views and Pro, from LiDAR, or even from measurements. And that 4D capability really allows you to compare any two moments in time. So now what I want to do is I want to jump in and I want to take a look at a couple different workflows. Ryan, can you hit the next slide? So Parcel Drafter is a configuration of web app builder that's easy to configure and deploy in your organization. And a deed examiner can use this application to enter meets and bounds descriptions and check for closure errors. And in many organizations, this process is done before the deed ever gets to the parcel editors. And it's a great way to preserve this work and eliminate that duplication of effort. So if you look in the traverse details, you can see that the bearings and distances for each course are being entered into the widget here. And you can also see the closure ratio. It's being calculated on the fly. At the bottom, we're going to see where the deed examiner can enter information like the new parcel ID if it's available, and the transaction and the record type, whether it's a merge or a split. Ryan, I think that video paused. Thank you. So here we're still putting in that traverse, and we're going to go down and we're going to see those parcel drafter details at the bottom where we can enter that parcel identification number, the name of the record, and even the transaction or record type, whether it's a merge or a split or a right-of-way validation. And parcel drafter is a great way to integrate the work of the deed examiners into the parcel editing workflows. So once the deed examiner enters those parcel lines, they can be leveraged directly in Pro. So let's go create a parcel from these lines that we just entered into the application. As you begin any record-driven workflow within the parcel fabric, you must first start by creating a new record. And once this record has been created, you'll be able to see it in the heads-up display in the upper left-hand corner of the map view. And having an active record is important because it will enable additional behaviors of the standard editing tools. And the next step is typically to create new parcel lines from meets and bounds description using the traverse tool, but we've already done that using the Parcel Drafter application. And we pulled that Parcel Drafter service into the Pro project. So I'll just select those new lines and I'll use them to construct the new parcel using the Copy Lines To tool, which will copy these lines to the active record. And as these lines are being copied, you'll notice that a circle appears in the center of a closed loop of lines. And this is a parcel seed. And this is really important because it's validation that my parcel lines form a closed loop. So I can use the build active in the construct group to build a new parcel from these lines and the seeds. So once that parcel has been built, the next step in the workflow is to cut this parcel into the existing tax parcel. And to do this, we're just going to use the editing tool Clip. So we'll select our target feature here to cut that new feature into the original feature and choose Clip. Now, once these features are clipped, what we were going to do is we're going to select those two parcels and we're going to use our attributes pane to update the attributes of these two features. So let's go ahead and we'll look at those results here, and we'll update the parcels here. We'll enter a parcel number for the new parcel. We'll update the stated area and the unit and click apply. We're going to use acre here and apply. And we'll select the other parcel, which is the original parent parcel, and we'll enter our parcel ID, stated area, and our unit, and we'll click apply. And what we'll see after this is over is that the parcel fabric layer is turned on and it's showing us that legally recorded area of the parcel updates that we just made. And the blue outlines surrounding the parcels are created in this workflow are associated with that active record. If I turn on the tax history layer, we can see the original parcel is marked as historic by the active record, that rec-1987. So let's zoom into another couple of parcels we want to edit. A typical workflow for a map technician is to take two parcels and merge them together. First, I'm going to start by creating a new record, and we'll just use the default here and accept a COGO, thinking that we might have a deed that is going to define this parcel merge. I'm going to use my merge tool from my tools gallery. I'll enter a new parcel name, update the stated area and the stated unit, and click merge. Now, I realize that this is really, really simple, but what's exciting is what's happening behind the scenes. So the parcel fabric is keeping track of the legal area of our recorded transactions. And when I turn on the tax history layer, we're going to see that our parcel lineage was maintained, and merge has also combined the square footage of the original parcels automatically. Lastly, I would like to show you that this entire time I've been working in ArcGIS Enterprise off of a branch version. And once I'm finished with my edits, I just highlight the version to reconcile and post back to my default version. And there you have it, a tip to tail workflow, editing parcels using everyday pro editing tools, leveraging that service-oriented architecture in ArcGIS Enterprise. Next slide, Ryan. So now we're really going to shift gears, and we're going to talk about neighborhoods and analysis as they relate to the assessor or the chief deputy. Neighborhoods are core to what makes a community and provide a sense of belonging. And assessment neighborhoods are really similar, but they're used to group like properties together. And assessment neighborhoods are made up of these like valued properties. And there is logic and criteria, and of course, spatial analysis that goes into how these are determined. Two of these analyses are sales ratio and outlier analysis studies. And Ryan's going to touch on sales ratios. Oh, can you bounce back to that last slide, Ryan? I'm not sure why it advanced. Okay, awesome, thank you. So Ryan's going to talk about sales ratio in a few moments, but I want to talk now about outlier analysis, or simply finding those properties that are different than others in the neighborhood. And to do this, your property characteristics must be understood, how they compare, and what our edge cases are. And for those edge case properties, we next want to validate that they are assessed accurately given their uniqueness. So for example, a property has a finished basement and a pool. It could have a higher value than its neighbors and therefore is an outlier compared to other similar properties in that particular assessment neighborhood. However, this property would be a valid outlier because there's a good reason that it's assessed with a higher value compared to its neighbors. And there's many different adjustments that are used for property amenities that help keep these neighborhoods intact. Next slide, please. And to do this today, we're going to use ArcGIS Insights. ArcGIS Insights is self-service location analytics, and it brings GIS to the everyday analyst instead of forcing them to come to GIS. It's intuitive, it's interactive, it's dynamic, and it scales with an analyst skill level. So whether you're a casual Excel user or an advanced data scientist or even somewhere in the middle, you can leverage insights and the value of the spatial component within your analysis. And Insights allows you to leverage your organization's traditional data in tabular format, as well as your organization's GIS content in one spot. And this ability to use these two types of data together is really powerful. Several visualization and analysis techniques can assist assessors in determining these outliers. And one of these statistics that's often used, as I mentioned before, is the sales ratio. And the sales ratio is just the market value of the property divided by the sales price. And this gives the assessor an indication of how well a particular market is performing. Next slide, please. So often sales ratios are grouped based on their quartile, and we can look at the inner quartiles for a sales ratio study, or you can flip the switch to visualize the sales that fall outside the inner quartiles. And in this example, we're viewing assessment data from Bloomfield Township, Michigan, and we've brought in a parcel feature layer and a CAMA Excel table and joined them together in Insights. So here we've selected to filter the middle quartiles and select the upper and lower quartiles. So we're looking at properties with sales ratios that are less than 65 or greater than 130. And as you can see, the map and the statistics, the box plot, and the other charts all update to reflect that selection. And you can view Descriptive statistics like average property value, mean sales price, assessed value year over year change, or even price per square foot. You can click on a whisker in a box plot, and that can help you identify and investigate outliers such as, year built or living area. And we can even go ahead and select a particular house style. It's like colonial two-story, for example, or a ranch or a tri-level property. And this will filter out all of the data in the other cards according to that one filter. Additionally, when we click on a particular school district, the same thing happens. The rest of the cards update and filter based on the selection we're including the data table at the bottom. And this table shows all of the individual property details and characteristics that are based off of those selections and filters. This is just one example of what an Insights workbook could look like for an assessor. And note that these cards can be configured in many different ways to show many different types of graphs and charts and maps to help you see what the data is telling you. And what's great about Insights, and just one of the many things, is that it records your workflow for you in the analysis view, so that if you wanted to run this model again with new or updated data, you simply update the data set and the model will flow downstream automatically. So ArcGIS Insights is just one tool that can help you make sense of these spreadsheets upon spreadsheets of data that used to assign property valuations and look and utilize that data in new ways. And Ryan is ready to go ahead and show us another. Take it away, Ryan.
Thanks, Lauren. That was fantastic. I'm actually going to switch gears here a little bit and move away from the parcel value analysis workflow. And thanks again for that, Lauren. Very much appreciate it. And one of the personas that we've hit on already, or we've discussed a little bit, is the public taxpayer and the tools that might be available for the public. So again, want to pivot again away from the internal parcel value analysis workflow and start to talk about what kind of solutions are out there for the public and the taxpayer. So in ArcGIS, our solution for public engagement really is this equitable property value hub. And it does a handful of things in terms of addressing some key challenges that assessment staff might have as they interact with the public, right? It's going to alleviate inquiries from the public on and decrease staff time spent on the phone. It's going to ensure transparency during the property valuation and appraisal process while educating taxpayers, then helping them understand the changes in valuation. It's going to increase awareness of and access to property information, and then finally help taxpayers understand their property tax assessment and property tax. So with that being said, I'm going to flip over to the next slide and just walk through what that solution looks like. And again, this really is just a destination page that can be that beacon of public engagement for an assessment office. It starts off with a call to action statement that talks about, property taxes are an essential funding source for a number of things in the community, including public safety and infrastructure. It moves down to this section all around property by the numbers, right? So communicating the magnitude of the work that the assessment office is doing. So we're seeing some stats here, and this is all configurable. And then finally, we can show the total assessed value of all of the properties in that particular community. And this is wired up against the authoritative data sets that could be coming back from your CAMA system and or your parcel layer that is maintained, like Lauren mentioned. The next section is a configurable space that walks through the valuation process and provides a spot where the assessment office can communicate what that valuation process looks like. So it could be an embedded video that walks through that process, maybe a link out to another page that might be already existing, or you're using story maps to help communicate that out. Whatever it is, this is that configurable space that helps in that communication of that valuation process. And then moving down, if you're a prospective home buyer or interested in property, well, how do I know what taxes I'm going to incur? We've got an embedded tax liability calculator that helps walk through what that looks like. So of course, this is an estimate subject to change and contingent upon market conditions and comparable properties. But again, this is just a quick and easy to use calculator that takes sale price. In this case, maybe I'm interested in a $200,000 piece of property. And at the estimated assessed value of 33% the market value, that's going to be $66,000, and I'm looking at roughly $1,600 in estimated tax per year. So again, exemptions can be applied. This is all based on the current market value, but again, it gives you a good understanding of what could be if you do purchase that property, and hopefully cutting down on potential appeals in a couple of years if you're, if you have questions about, the taxes that you did incur with that purchase. That's the intent of this part of that page. So moving down a little bit, now we're getting into some of the information products that hang off of this site. And really there's two basic ones that I'd like to start with, and they answer a set of very specific questions. So what are my property characteristics? Where are my tax dollars going? Is my property in a floodplain? What kind of floodplain is it in? How do I get in contact with FEMA to understand more about that floodplain boundaries? These two information products help answer all of those questions. So the locate floodplain capability, I don't have enough time to walk through that today, but I do want to take a look really quickly at the tax parcel viewer that helps communicate characteristics. So you're looking at that here, a very focused, easy to use application that works on any device. And really there's a handful of ways to search for these properties, right? And that's what it's all around, is just identifying properties. You can search for a parcel number, owner, or by address. In this case, I happen to know an address. So we're going to drill into 940 Deal Road, and you'll notice, the map zooms to that selected parcel. It shows characteristics about that particular property, so owner name, address, tax district, school district, use description, structure type. All of these attributes are configurable, but out of the box, this is what we're delivering in this pop-up panel. And then finally, a tax distribution, answering that question, where are my tax dollars going? In this case, the majority of those dollars are going toward grade school funding. But this is just a nice, easy to use chart that just is baked into that pop-up panel that communicates that information. So we've walked through how you can search for a parcel by parcel number, address, or owner. But the other way to identify a parcel is simply by poking at the map, doing an intersection of one of those polygons, and you'll see the same thing happens, right? I zoom to that particular property, I see all of those attributes that we saw before, and then as well as that, the tax distribution is there as well. So a nice, easy to use, very focused application that helps communicate characteristics, tax distribution, and things of the like. And again, all on any device. So it works really well on a mobile device, tablet, and of course desktop is what you're seeing here. So going back to the destination page, what I wanted to talk about now, and again, not enough time to talk about that floodplain application, but that is there and a part of our solution here for public engagement. But zooming down a little bit, there's a section here that really gets into a deeper set of engagement tools for the public. So it allows the public to create an account with their identity, get involved, understand a little bit more about what's going on with the assessment process in this community, and then also provide a set of core capabilities that are a little bit deeper in terms of analysis for the public. So I can understand property value and recent sales, and then if I want to, I can actually start the property tax assessment appeal process with a form that I'll show in a second. So to do this, I click Get Involved. I have the ability to log into this system with a login that I've already created. If I don't have an account, I can click Create Community Account, fill out a simple form with my information, my email address, agree to some legal terms, and I can even log in with credentials that I have from another system like Gmail or maybe Facebook or GitHub, and walk through the process and provide my information from those systems to this particular site to use and create a login with that. In this case, I happen to know my login. I'm going to use that login that I've already created to log into the site. And you'll notice it's dynamic based on me logging in and following this particular initiative. I now have access to deeper analytic tools. I can find comparable sales, and I can even start that appeal process with that link below. So again, what we're going to do now is kind of switch gears and talk about the find comparable sales capability. And again, this is just a public-facing residential comp finder that helps the public find comparable sales and related property information in their area. So we're going to take a look at that now. Okay, so this is the application. It looks really similar to what you saw in the tax parcel viewer, but what you're seeing on the map are qualified sales that have been mapped on this comp finder. So these are recent qualified sales that we can see. And the way that this works is I can search for a subject property, right? So I could search by parcel or address, or I could simply poke at the map, set a location on where my subject property is, and identify that location there. Regardless of how I find that subject parcel, what I'm going to do next is once I find it, you can show results within 1 mile. So this is going to show all of those qualified sales within that 1 mile buffer of this particular subject property, which happens to be 940 Benton. So you notice that that buffer occurred. I can see 39 sales are within 1 mile of that particular subject property, which is nice, but to take it the next step, and really what I want to do is understand comparable sales, meaning comparable characteristics from that camera information. I can go in and select filters to apply. So this is going to further filter that spatial query down. Maybe I'm interested in a particular sale price. Maybe I'm interested in all of these sales within 1 mile of my subject property that are ranches because my property is a ranch. I can select structure type as ranch, click apply, and now we see only one satisfy both the spatial query as well as that attribute query of ranch. So I can drill in, focus characteristics again are presented to me. I can see the parcel number, year built, square footage, and then sale price, and then even the sales ratio, which is 24% in this particular case. So that's one way to identify some sales in this or comparable sales in this application. The other way would be to identify sales that actually intersect a polygon. Maybe it's interesting to look at sales within a school district. So let's drill in and look at Brookdale Elementary School. And now I see that that buffer was done, but maybe I'm only interested in those sales that actually intersect that school district. I can knock down that buffer to 0. And now I see that there's actually one sale within the Brookdale Elementary School District that happens to be of ranch structure type. So I can further, do my comparisons against my subject property. So again, this residential comp finder for the public, it's a nice tool to present to the public and allows them to, again, do a little bit of analysis against the authoritative data that the county is presenting, and hopefully, through that analysis can cut down on potential traffic, phone calls, and appeals. Speaking of appeals, going back to the destination page, if I still feel like I'm not being fairly appraised, I can start the appeal process by clicking apply. And this is going to launch into a very focused form that allows me to specify where that property is located. I can tell whether or not the residence is occupied by the owner. We'll say yes. If I know the parcel identification number, I can specify it there. I could describe the property. It's a single family residence. The reason for filing that appeal is there's an improvement or a structure loss. I can see maybe there's a pool or a deck was added. I can provide some contact information here. I can act on behalf of the applicant or submit this as the applicant. So I'll just start to fill this out very quickly with some, again, basic contact information. And again, really all this is doing, it's just a simple form that just kickstarts this process off. So in the back office, you could triage these as they come in and start to take action appropriately, of course, when these start to roll in. There's a nice signature at the end, and then I can hit submit. Okay, that's the property tax assessment appeal form. Okay, we're getting close to the end of the site here. A couple of other things that I wanted to call out. Oftentimes it's really useful to put out data for downloads. We have direct links to the parcel data set, sales data set, foreclosure data set, appeal data set, really any data set that you want to put out there for download. And folks can take those and download them in common formats like CSV or XLS. Another aspect of this is communication of events. So how do I understand when there are milestone events in the assessment process, like the last day to appeal a property tax assessment? That's shown here, but I can also use this calendar events to maybe talk about a public engagement opportunity where the assessor is going to be doing a public speaking around a particular topic. Or maybe the real estate department or appraisal department is doing road shows, either virtually or in person. How do you socialize those up to the public? You can use this calendar for that. And when you click on one of these events, what you'll start to see is just basic information about what the event's all about. options to attend it, event details, when it's actually happening, and all those just very basic characteristics of that particular event are shown there. And then finally, if you still have a question about your property value, of course, you can certainly contact your assessor. There's a place here to link out to an email address or a phone number that might be there. So again, a lot there. That's our public engagement offering, Equitable Property Value Hub, and again, helps in just increasing that transparency to the public from the assessment office. Okay, now to pivot away from solution and capability demonstrations, what I'd like to do is start to wrap things up a little bit by calling out some key takeaways from what we've discussed today so far. We took a look at core tenets that make up our solutions for tax and assessment. We saw a glimpse of newer parcel management capabilities in ArcGIS Pro, and then took a look at back office analytical tools within ArcGIS that help appraisal and assessment staff conduct parcel value analysis workflows like sales ratio studies and outlier analysis. And then finally, we just took a look at ways to engage the public by communicating characteristics of property, explaining that parcel valuation process, and much more through that Equitable Property Value Hub. And then beyond what was shown today, ArcGIS can power field operations conducted by appraisal staff with tools to coordinate the work being done in and out of the field, and then also tools while they're out in the field to record that information that they might be capturing. In this presentation, we've included links to specific resources on topics and technologies that were discussed over the last 30 minutes or so. Information about the solutions, there's a link there at the top that goes right to the assessment and taxation solutions. We've got 2 industry meetups that I'd like to call your attention to, one around parcel editing and then one around visualization techniques for assessors and GIS folks. There's some information about specific technologies that we're using like ArcGIS Hub and ArcGIS Insights. And then finally, would like to encourage you to visit the Esri State and Local Connect webinar series website to access all the previously recorded webinars in the series. And again, like I mentioned before, you'll be sent an email with a link to this specific recording soon. Would also really like to encourage you to reach out to the state and local government team for support. So like I mentioned before, Lauren and I are a part of a very large team of GIS professionals with deep experience in applying GIS technologies to state and local government business workflows. We are here to support your efforts, whether it's building a deeper relationship with us, making recommendations around professional development or training, helping with geospatial strategic guidance, increasing collaboration with partners. In the end, this team is here and we are a part of that team, and we're all committed to helping you achieve your goals with our technology. Okay, so I think we do have a little bit of time for questions, which is great. Before I do get into questions, I do want to make mention first of our next State and Local Connect webinar, which is on June 16th at 10 Pacific, 1 Eastern. So this installment will dive into the latest GIS capabilities for environment and natural resources. So please, you see the link there. You can use that link to register for the State and Local Connect website, or on the State and Local Government Connect website. Okay, and like I mentioned, I think we've got about maybe 5 minutes or so, a little bit longer than that, so that's good. Maybe we can get into some questions. Let me dive into these. There's quite a few. I don't know if we'll get to all of them, which is okay. I think, Lauren, I see you're back. Maybe we'll start with one around the parcel management capabilities that we heard about from you. So you mentioned the parcel management capabilities in Pro. Can you describe the process to get my data into the ArcGIS Pro fabric? That's what you showed, right? The ArcGIS Pro parcel fabric. How do I get my data into that? I think is what they're asking.
Yeah. That's a great question, actually. So starting with Pro 2.4 and later, it actually ships with these parcel fabric administration tasks that will walk you through step by step the process of upgrading your ArcMap parcel fabric and loading data into the Pro parcel fabric, and even setting up an enterprise environment if you're wanting to use the ArcGIS parcel fabric and in an enterprise environment. So sharing that to your enterprise.
Perfect. That's really good. Thanks for that. Maybe while you're keep you on the hook here. So you showed ArcGIS Insights. Do I have to install software for end users interested in using Insights? How do you access that app? And I guess maybe the dashboard that you showed.
Yeah, definitely. So no, you do not have to install any software for end users to use Insights. You can leverage ArcGIS Insights in ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise. If you have a license assigned to a name user already in either of the WebGIS portals, you can also download, there's a desktop application for Insights so that you can leverage Insights on your desktop and take advantage of your local cores of computing power as well. And there's also abilities, Insights, not only accepts, GIS connections and table files like Excel, CSVs. You can also connect into kernel gateways and all sorts of databases to leverage your authoritative data right there within the application.
It's perfect. I think you hit on a couple of questions around Insights, so that's really good. Thank you for that. Maybe a question, I could maybe take this one in terms of the public engagement solution that I showed. Maybe I have my own, looks like tax liability or conveyance. Yeah, so can I use my own calculators and even comp finders with the hub site that was shown? So yes, the answer is yes. We shipped that solution out of the box. What you saw has all of those capabilities and really the information products buried into it, but it really does serve at, it's extendable. You can add your own maybe parcel viewer that you might have. Maybe you've got a deeper comp finder that might be a part of your Canvas system that's out to the public. You can link to that as well. You can embed those into that site. It's all very easy to kind of link up and grab other I guess information products that you didn't see in the solution. I've got customers here in Ohio actually that have done just that. They have a conveyance fee recorder application or a calculator, as well as a tax liability calculator that they've just iframed into that hub site. So yeah, that's all very much doable, and that hub site is very extensible. So yeah, a couple more here. Oh, there's a lot. Yeah, maybe another one for me, were the apps shown today built from scratch? No, the answer is no. So I mentioned the ArcGIS solutions maybe in my resources. These are configurations of core technology, so configurations of dashboard and hub like we saw, and all of our other web app builder. And really what they do is they take that core technology and they are built around specific industry workflows. So those solutions are made available to you. They're a part of your maintenance that you have with ArcGIS. And I would encourage you to go to that documentation link to explore some of those offerings. So the idea is you can go out there, launch into our solutions app, deploy those solutions directly into your organization, whether it's ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise, push in your data into those solutions, and you're off and running. So the majority of what you saw today was pre-configured solution offerings that we have with your maintenance. Maybe have time for one more. Oh, there's so many. I think we're getting to most of them. Does Insights, is it an additional cost? Maybe that's a good question for you, Lauren.
Yeah, sure. So ArcGIS Insights is a premium license. There is additional costs. I'd recommend, talking to your local account manager about how to set that up. Sometimes if you have an enterprise agreement, they're included as a part of a negotiated agreement. You can use Insights with, a creator user type. And there's also an Insights Analyst user type available too that I believe has its own price point. I'm not sure what that is. You'd have to talk to your account manager. And that will give the user access to only Insights and the content in the WebGIS portal, whether it be, ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise. But for an analyst that needs to use Insights and only Insights, that Insights Analyst user type is available.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, and that just goes back to you know, the comment that I had earlier about reaching out to your team. You all have a team, somebody from Esri on the state and local government team. Reach out to those folks, and they can help answer some of those questions about accessing the software. Okay, I think we are at the time. I know there are some questions that we did not get to. I apologize for that. But hopefully we can get some responses out to you at some point soon. Thanks again for the time today. We really appreciate it. Hopefully it was informative, and yeah, join us on the next one in about a month or so. Thanks.
Thanks. Take care.